Hello, Sooner fans. Harry James Taylor here with you for Boomer Sooner 1982. Really appreciate you guys watching and listening to these YouTube casts. So, former Oklahoma quarterback Steve Davis right now holds the record for Oklahoma Sooner victories, but Landry Jones is climbing his way to the top. He's 2 wins away. He was 3 wins away, but to get to 2 wins away, the win over UTEP, it wasn't easy. But you know what? I'll tell you how he got there and so much more as we do the University of Oklahoma and UTEP Miners recap. Only right here on Boomer Sooner 82. Well, this is how it happened for the Sooners. The first quarter recap went like this. The University of Texas El Paso Miners scored their first 7 points, and the only 7 points for them in the game, when they blocked a punt by Tress Way with 9 minutes left to go through the first quarter. But the Sooners came striking back a little bit later with 5:06 left with a 68-yard touchdown pass from Landry Jones to Kenny Stills to get the game tied up at 7. We stayed through that way for the rest of the first and through the second quarter until the third quarter, when a 38-yard field goal by Michael Honeycutt was jacked through the uprights to give the Sooners their first lead of the night, 10-7, with 10:05 left to go in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, the Sooners scored twice. With 10:32 left, Landry Jones shot an 18-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Green to take the lead, to hold on to the lead, 17-7 for the Sooners. That's Brandon Green, not Brandon Green. Brandon Green, a junior college player out of Kansas. And then a little bit later, another junior college transfer, Damian Williams, had a 65-yard touchdown run that finished out the game for the Sooners. A 27-7 victory for the Sooners. That score happened with 10:05 left in the game. The offensive play that hyped the team, get it, Josh Heupel, because he's the offensive coordinator, pun intended. The hype of the game came in that first quarter with that 68-yard touchdown pass to Kenny Stills with 5:06 left in the game. In the first quarter, I should say. And the stooping stop came on a fake punt that was ran by Drew Thomas for 3 yards when they needed about 7 or 8 yards. It was a good call at the time, I guess, by the UTEP coach. At that time, they only were down by 3 points. The Sooners ended up scoring the touchdown on the next drive. Statistically for the Sooners and the UTEP Miners, passing-wise, the University of Oklahoma quarterback Landry Jones had 222 yards and 2 TDs in the game, while Nick Lamason, the passing quarterback of the two, had 39 yards and no touchdowns. Can I read that again to you? He had 39 yards passing and no touchdowns. 39 yards. That's impressive with this defense. That proves how much Mike Stoops is a difference on this defense. Just in one game, I know, but still, 39 yards. It's pretty darn good. Rushing-wise, the University of Oklahoma junior college transfer Damian Williams was this guy for the Sooners, for OU. He had 9 carries for 104 yards and that one touchdown jaunt of 65 is a long. While the UTEP player was Nathan Jeffrey, who had 21 carries for 182 yards and no touchdown rushing. He did return the block punt there in the first quarter with about 9 minutes left. He did return that for the touchdown, but he did not have a rushing touchdown. Receiving-wise, Kenny Stills, the junior, did it again. 6 catches for 121 yards and 1 touchdown pass there in the first quarter. And Kevin Perry, 1 catch for 13 yards and no touchdowns. That means the rest of the team must have done pretty good, huh? Well, I'll tell you this. Kevin Perry with 1 catch for 13 yards, that's pretty good. 39 yards overall passing, like I said. And he wasn't even that great at it. I think he completed 1 pass to about 5 or 6 different guys, and that's about it. So it was very good defensive pass defense against this team. Speaking of defense, how about overall defense? Oklahoma, well, you know who it is now that Travis Lewis is gone, don't you? That's Tony Jefferson out of California with a total of 10 tackles the other night, while Feely Josh for UTEP had 12 tackles. Punting-wise for the Sooners, Tress Way punted it 7 times for an average of 46.4 and a long of 54, and of course, the 1 blocked punt. And the University of Texas El Paso Miners, well, they had Ian Campbell out there punting. He had 8 punts for a combined 45.9 average, and 69 was his long. And how about kicking, field goaling? Well, as you know, for Oklahoma, that's Michael Honeycutt. He was 1 for 2. He kicked good, the 38-yard field goal, and a 44-yarder was, if you want to say blocked, I guess you can say blocked. To be completely honest with you, even if the thing wasn't blocked, it still would have been good. It was such a low duck. Hopefully they can get that. Hopefully they can get that fixed. But at least they made 1. That's better than what Dakota Warren did for University of Texas El Paso. He tried 2 of them and missed them both. 1 from 45 yards and missed it, and 1 from 31 yards and he missed it. And also, Stephen Valdez, 0 for 1, field goal for a 41-yard miss. Overall, this game was pretty sloppy looking, if you ask me. Offensively, not too bad, considering that you've got to get the other players involved. 121 yards of the 222 yards are to Kenny Stills. That can happen as long as the other guys are being spotted, and they are. And they're catching the balls that they need to catch, which they aren't doing. But you know what? These guys are young. They'll learn how to make plays like that. Rushing-wise, I don't really have a problem here. We have Damian Williams, obviously, the junior college transfer. We still have Don Whaley, who fumbled, by the way, that 1 ball. Justin Brown, the Penn State player, wide receiver, ended up saving the fumble from going to the UTEP Miners. Defensively, pretty good. Like I said, this is what you wanted to see. You wanted to see how Mike Stoops' pass defense would do. My hat is off to that. I don't care who you're playing. 39 yards passing and basically no offensive touchdowns. Pretty good. The problem I have is the rushing problem. And I know that they're going to get this figured out too. And one thing that's really going to help them figure it out is that not that many people in the Big 12 like to run. But the key point is, even though they don't like to run, they can run. And now that they know that they can run on this team, for the love of Mike, Nathan Jeffrey had 21 pops for 182 yards. And luckily, he didn't have more than that. He went out with cramps there in the game, too, in the fourth quarter. But, it was just it was depressing. You've never seen a Mike Stoops defense play like that. Give up the rushing yards. They got to play better that way. If they play better that way and they hold teams to only 39 yards passing, here we go. We're back on top of the college football world. The game that really surprised me was the other Crimson and Cream. Alabama. Wow. I did not know that their defense could shut down Michigan like that. I had a feeling that they could because, Nick Saban, as Sooner fans know, with that game versus LSU that they had a couple years ago, and as Texas fans know, with the game that they had against Alabama, both Nick Saban coached teams. These guys had never seen the football field ever before. It was their first time there, true freshmen and redshirt freshmen, and still they basically shut down Denard Robinson. It was mind blowing. The game that didn't really surprise me, and I kind of called it, I guess in my own mind, was Ohio and Penn State. Being from Oklahoma, you guys know about the Tyler Tettleton situation. And the running back there that's at Ohio, that's Bo Blankenship. You know their story. You know how hard they try. Blankenship, of course, didn't start out there at Ohio. He started at Iowa State, transferred in to Ohio, to probably, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, lower division coaches in college football. Frank Solich, who used to be at Nebraska, did such a marvelous job there at the end, at the Big Red, but they weren't happy with him, so they fired him. They brought in Bo Pelini for 1 year. After that, Bo Pelini was released, came to Oklahoma. They get Callahan from Oakland. After that debacle, they go to LSU, where Bo Pelini is now that he's left Oklahoma. They bring him into the Big 12. Then with Nebraska and Bo Pelini were reunited. And then they're reunited and remarried for 3 years. The third year, we beat them in the championship game, and then they're off to the Big Ten. But back to the Frank Solich thing, my hat's off to this guy. He's a smart coach. He knows what he's doing out there. And, basically this is a team that obviously they can't compete for their conference championship, but obviously they're still a good team if they're in the top 25 last year and not losing that much talent. Even though they did lose quite a bit of talent with Justin Brown and the guy at USC and the backup quarterback who's now at LSU and a couple of more ones there. And finally, the most exciting game of college football over the weekend. If you didn't see this game, you need to go back and watch it again. Northwestern and Syracuse. Holy stinking cow. If you didn't like that national championship game with Alabama and LSU last year, or the game before, and they were like 6-3 and 9-6, no touchdowns. Trust me, this game was nothing like that. In fact, Northwestern, I believe, had a 28-point lead. Syracuse came back and tied it up. Northwestern comes back at the end of the game and ties up the ball game. So that just about clears up what happens in college football over the weekend. Finally, for the OU Sooner recap, Sooners 27, UTEP Miners 7. Landry Jones set 2 games away from Mr. Davis's all-time OU wins. By the way, if you didn't know this, not only do they have that in common, but also 3-year starter at quarterback. They have that in common. And, you ready for the final stat? Landry Jones, when he's done in Oklahoma, if it doesn't work out in the NFL, he wants to be a preacher. And what does Steve Davis do now? He's a preacher. I'm just saying, these guys have so much in common, it's not even funny. Okay? The Steve Davis of current times, Landry Jones, 2 wins away from the all-time OU record. The next chance to get 1 win away happens this Saturday. Is actually the home opener for the Sooner Nation. The Florida A&M Rattlers. Yet, however, may I let you know right now, there will be no Florida A&M band. Of course, you guys all know the controversy and the travesty in that. Sad occupations there. Sad situation. Game. By the way, that's completely non-factor. Like I said, it'll be the Florida A&M Rattlers at the University of Oklahoma. The home opener, 6 o'clock, pay-per-view. Now, for you Sooner fans that love to watch my shows, let me tell you this right here. I am at Sooner Fan OK on Twitter. And to all you Sooner fans that are outside of the OU area, say that you're in New York, or you're in Florida, or you're in Texas, or you're in California, and you can't see the Sooners, well, I'll just let you know this right now. I usually tweet the game scores of the road games. Now, I'm at the home games, so I can't really help you out there. But for the road games, I usually tweet what the score is and who scores. I did that over the weekend. It was kind of cool. I enjoyed doing it. That's Sooner Fan OK on Twitter. And finally, for you Oklahoma Sooner fans that are basketball fans also, this is super cool. They have announced that basketball-wise, there will be 2 games. Not 1, but 2 games. Former University of Oklahoma point guard, shooting guard, Terry Evans and UCO. When they come to the University of Oklahoma, that exhibition game will not be played at the Lloyd Noble Center. It will be played at the McCaslin Fieldhouse, the former Oklahoma basketball venue. And as also will the regular season competition between the University of Oklahoma and the Texas A&M Corpus Christi. This is cool. I've been an Oklahoma Sooner fan all my life. I've been there once for a wrestling match, but I've never been there for a basketball game. And I have to say, I'm really, really, really looking forward to this. And finally, I forgot about this, but they have it up now, so this is cool. Also, it's Soonersports.tv. This will give you inside depth on Oklahoma Sooner football, basketball. It's the Longhorn Network for the Sooners. And as you can see, since it's a website, it is not strictly based to television. You can also find it on your computer at Soonersports.tv. That's Soonersports.tv. I'll see you guys tomorrow for my Week 2 breakdown of what's going on in the Big 12 and everywhere else around the league. As far as right now is concerned, I'm Harry James Taylor. Boomer Sooner 1982. One final time. The final score from the University of Texas of El Paso. The visiting Oklahoma Sooners 27. The hometown UTEP Miners 7. This has been the recap of the University of Oklahoma and the UTEP Miners on Boomer Sooner 1982.